Maria Vdovichenko, along with her parents and younger sister, experienced a real hell in Mariupol. The family lost their home due to Russian bombing. After spending several weeks in the basement under shelling, they decided to get out of the city to the Ukrainian-controlled territory. After their experience in Mariupol, the Vdovichenko family had to live through another horror: the Russian system of filtration.
Меня унижали.
I was humiliated, and not even by political questions, but more about my personality, focusing on what gender I am, how I look. This humiliated me very much, and especially when there were strange conversations between them, as if I were not there. And at that moment, I was told to undress. I understood that there was no way out, and I started to undress. But I was lucky in the sense that I took off my jacket, 2 sweaters, and I was left with a t-shirt. And there was no further interest in continuing, because the way I looked was scary. I was sick, I was in blood, what a person who was in occupation might look like.
For the girl's father, the Russian filtration process went a lot worse. In addition to interrogations and humiliation, the man was seriously beaten.
Когда его уже выволокли на улицу,
When they pulled out dead, he was behind the filtration booth. There was a batch of these militants, and they asked him in a rude manner what to do next with him, to finish him off on the spot, cut off his ear, or maybe he has a family somewhere nearby.
Interrogations, searches, humiliation – that's what Ukrainians have to endure in the system of filtration camps built by Russia on the temporary occupied territories. Ukrainians, despite their age and gender, are stripped naked, beaten and threatened there.
Этим людям разрушили жизнь.
These people's lives were destroyed. Their homes were destroyed. Very often they were simply forced to leave their native country at gunpoint. They went through the horrors of the filtration camps. This is a rather strong criminal system, and it seems to me that in the future, when Putin's crimes in The Hague will be investigated, these facts of the creation of a whole system of filtration camps must be attached to the crimes of the Putin regime. During the filtration, people are humiliated. They are stripped naked, including women.
The criminal system of so-called filtration is just gaining momentum. So, according to the advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, Petro Andryshenko, there is a tightening of the repressive regime in the city. The filtration process does not stop. The total queue, in quantitative terms, in the central district of the city alone reaches 15,000 people. Every day, up to 30 people go through filtration, of which, on average, up to 5 people disappear daily due to arrests right on the building of the regional police department of the occupiers. Without a piece of paper about the filtration, it is impossible to get any job, so people are forced to go through a humiliating and risky procedure in order to survive. Petro Andryshenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, on Telegram. What happened to those Ukrainians who did not pass the filtration is not known. Those who were able to pass it often end up in Russia. Ukrainians in Russia face other horrors of Putin's repressive machine. They are settled in so-called temporary accommodation centers located throughout the entire Russian Federation, including Murmansk, Irkutsk and Kamchatka.
Мы видим, насколько непредсказуем путинский режим.
We see how dangerous Putin's regime is and what it does on the territory of Ukraine. What kind of genocide is being waged against the Ukrainian people. And therefore, we cannot predict what will happen tomorrow with the Ukrainians on the territory of Russia. It often happens that Ukrainian military refugees are resettled in different regions of the country, Russian Federation. We had cases when refugees who were sent to the Far East turned to us, and this is a particularly difficult situation because people are openly deceived. They are promised help that they are not provided with later, and when they get there, they realize with horror that they have no money to get back.
Some Ukrainian refugees face the problem of crossing the Russian border. In addition to the forcible deportations of Ukrainians, Russia is engaged in kidnapping. Today, according to the Children of War platform, 11,461 children have been deported to the Russian Federation, and 323 have gone missing. If we talk about the most common crimes of Russians against Ukrainian children, then it includes illegal deportation and illegal adoption of our children in Russia. Russia even changed its legislation to facilitate the adoption of Ukrainian children by Russian parents. This is the genocide of the Ukrainian nation. The process of their return is extremely complicated, and we use here the full range of possibilities that we have. If we talk about those children who have already been returned, it might seem a small figure, but about the return of each child, we can say that this is a separate special operation. Dmytro Lubinets, Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights, in an interview with Ukrinform. Earlier, Deputy Prime Minister for European and Euro-Atlantic Integration of Ukraine, Olha Stefanyshina, reported that almost 1.5 million Ukrainians are in Russia without the ability to leave the aggressor country. In addition, relatives cannot establish contact with them. According to the UN, almost 2 million Ukrainians were deported from the territories of Ukraine occupied by the Russian invaders. Reported by Paweł Stelmach, Julia Granovska, UATV News.